so much. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back into the session. If you guys can hear me clearly, please confirm it in the chat box. Thank you so much for confirmation. Okay, guys, a quick review of what we have covered yesterday. We talked about like what is software testing. We talked about the projects. We talked about AUT. What is AUT? It stands for application and a test. Then we talked about documents after the meeting, that what is BRD, what is FRD, how the documents are going to generate. Then we talked about quality assurance and quality control. What is the difference between them? And then we have a little bit of information about ISTQB certification, and that was all about yesterday's session. In today's session, we will discuss about SDLC. What is SDLC? Software Development Life Cycle. In the word, whenever we produce or we generate something, everything has its own life cycle. Life cycle means the process of starting or creation process. From where it starts, what is the between process, what is the end process. These stuffs are called as a life cycle. Now software development also has this life cycle, from where we start and where we end. All of these stuffs and materials we will see. Actually, this thing belongs to development team, software development team, but we are studying it for our sake of information, because we need to understand that actually what process is going inside the development team, how development team do the development, what is the actual process. Then you will understand that what's going on inside the development. Our process of working SDLC will be after this SDLC. Now, with no further delay, let's begin the session. And here, software development, we have different models. First model is waterfall, second model is V model, third is incremental model, and fourth is Scrum and Agile model, or we can say. Why we start with the waterfall, but then we go with the V model, then incremental, and then Scrum. These models are swapped and changed in between the years from 1960 till 2023. Then we will see that why people switch from waterfall to V, then from V to incremental, then from incremental to Scrum. That still nowadays people are using Scrum or Agile methodology. What was the defects inside other models, previous models that people were using? We will see that as well. Now, the first model inside our diagram is the waterfall model. Waterfall model is the process which we create the software in early 1960s. This model was like the process was like a flow of water. Once you start the project, you should go like this. You cannot repeat it back like in other models that we will see in next slides. How it works, it starts from the communication. Communication, what is the meaning of communication? I'll just let me take the screenshot. And from here itself, now let me take the screenshot. Where's my snapping? Okay, let's jump back, print screen, and let's jump back to here. I'll click on print screen. Let me small it a little bit. Now let's crop it.
Furqan?
Yeah, tell me.
So before we jump in, I want to share like a 3 minutes or 2 minutes video for our participants, so they understand first of all, the SDLC.
Susan works at a company that specializes in completing various technology projects. Her supervisor has assigned her a project to develop a software application for a new client. She needs a process to follow to ensure she completes the project and doesn't forget any critical steps needed to develop the application. Susan decides to review the Software Development Lifecycle, or SDLC, to get guidance on how to implement her project. The SDLC is a methodology that defines the steps of a software development project, and there are several stages. Susan wants to follow the SDLC, but needs to understand each stage in the process before providing instructions to her project team. Each stage in the SDLC produces deliverables and outcomes that are required to begin the next stage in the process. We'll now look at each of these stages and what happens during them. The first stage is requirement gathering and analysis, which is when senior leadership begins planning the project. The client provides the requirements to the organization, and analysis begins to determine the project approach, deliverables, and anticipated final outcomes. Business requirements from the customer are gathered to determine who will use the software and how. The second stage is software design. This is when business architects use the requirements gathered from the first stage to produce several designs of the product. Each design is reviewed in a design document by various internal stakeholders. The best design is then selected. The third stage is coding and implementation, which is when the design documents from the second phase are used to implement the design and produce the code. The code development is the longest part of the SDLC process. After the code is developed, the fourth stage, testing, can begin. The code is tested based on the customer's requirements to ensure the code works according to specifications. After the code is tested, the fifth stage, deployment, occurs. This is when the product is delivered to the customer. The final stage is maintenance or post-deployment. Once the product is in use, the customer may experience technical issues, and maintenance of the software is conducted at that time. Now that Susan knows each stage of the SDLC, she is ready to provide instructions to her project team. Susan begins her project with planning and gathering the requirements. While her team is gathering customer requirements for the software, Susan decides to research various methods of the SDLC. There are several SDLC process models a project manager can follow to get through each phase in the SDLC. The process models are different ways to move through each phase, and they depend on the customer's requirements and the length of time the project team has to complete the project. Some of the SDLC models include the waterfall model, iterative model, and spiral model. Susan learns that the waterfall method is a process that follows a step-by-step approach, where each step in the SDLC must be complete before the next step can begin. The deliverable from each step is necessary to complete subsequent steps in the waterfall method. The iterative model is a faster approach, in which development begins by implementing part of the software. Full implementation and specifications are not used in the iterative model. Under the iterative model, the implementation process is repeated, and new software is developed during each phase of the process. The spiral model includes the development of a prototype and use of the waterfall method. The spiral model is used for more complex and more expensive projects in which a prototype is necessary to begin implementation. Susan decides the spiral model does not apply to her project because a prototype does not meet her customer's requirements. The iterative model would provide too many versions of the software, and the customer does not require these iterations. Susan decides to use the waterfall model to implement her project, which means that each phase of the SDLC must be completed before the project team works on the next phase. The Software Development Lifecycle, or SDLC, is a software development process that includes defined steps to develop and complete a software project. The SDLC is the blueprint for the entire project, and it includes 6 common stages, which are requirement gathering and analysis, software design, coding and implementation, testing, deployment, and maintenance. A project manager can implement an SDLC process by following various models. Some of the methods are the waterfall model, iterative model, and the spiral model. The waterfall model is a step-by-step method in which each phase of the process is completed before moving to the next phase. The iterative model produces more versions of the software during each phase, and the spiral model requires an initial prototype to begin the process. The project manager decides which model is used based on customer specifications.
All good. hopefully, and this brief.
Meet Marge. Marge has just enrolled in her
Furqan, back to you. Sorry.
Okay, it's okay. No worries. Yeah, it was an interesting video, and it helps a lot to participants to understand this waterfall model. Guys, as in video explanation, you have seen that why people are using SDLC. Basically, this SDLC is not belongs to us, and whatever that testing parts comes into SDLC, that testing is also related to development team. Our testing is a little bit different than their testing, so we will see everything step by step. Now in waterfall model, we have a small process. Like the first step is the communication step in waterfall model. The first step is the communication step. What happens in this step is that the project management, the business analyst people, and the team which gather the information in that meeting, specifically that BRD, we can say. BRD, business requirement documents. This is called a requirement gathering method. That meeting which happened between two teams, like business analyst people of the service-based company and business analyst people of the client company, which was Microsoft at yesterday's session, is going to sit and they discuss, and the service-based company, which was Infosys, will gather the information from the Microsoft team. And that process is called project initiation and as well requirement gathering. Initiation means start of the project. Starting point or starting point of the project. And requirement gathering means you need to get the information from the client that actually which type of the software, and inside the software, what kind of functionality, what kind of feature the client want from the service-based company. Now in here, this information gathering will be noted inside one document. Be noted inside document. That document is nothing but our BRD, business requirement document. This was the first stage in waterfall model. Now what we have, guys, in here, next step is the planning step. After the BRD is complete, the next step is the planning step. What happens in planning step? Again, be a business analyst people with the development team. They will sit together. After the meeting finished with the client, business analyst and development team sit. They will do what? They will first estimating. Estimating means estimation of the cost of the project. Let me circle it. Cost of the project. Time duration. And as well as at the estimation that after when we develop the project, how long it will take to maintain the project, everything will be planned in this estimation. Estimation is not 100% accurate, but they will estimate a budget and also a timeline that in this time duration, we will finish this project and we will get that amount of money from the client itself. Now the next part will be scheduling. Scheduling means that whenever they are done with the estimation, I told you that they will create one another document, which is called as a FRD, functional requirement document. What is functional requirement document? This document will be all inside this three stages: estimation, scheduling, and tracking. This is belong to this. That development team will create it from that BRD. Why business analyst people will sit a meeting with the development team? Because there might be some concept and something which is unclear for the development team. They will ask from the business analyst people, because that BRD is written by business analyst people. That's why they sit a meeting and ask questions from that which is they have written in BRD. Now from that BRD, they create FRD, and that FRD consists of estimating, scheduling, and tracking. What is scheduling? Scheduling means that, okay, we will, for example, I'm going to develop this project in 6 months. I need to have a 6-month plan for that, and that plan will be a part of a scheduling. And what is tracking? Tracking means that each month which when pass, so we have to do what? We have to keep the track that how many progress we have made in 1 month, in 2 months, in 3, and after all in 6 months. All of this will come into the stage of planning. The next step is the modeling step. What is modeling? This is only belongs to a development team. And here, development team when analysis and design. Analysis and design, what are these 2 steps? In these 2 steps, analysis, first they will, from the FRD documents, from the FRD, they will check that what kind of structure, architecture we have to follow, what kind of design system we have to implement in this project, what kind of technologies we have to use, technology, tech, design structure, architecture structure. In these sorts of etc, we can say other related things which belongs to the development of the software. They will analyze and they will they will add it in the file that, okay, in this project we will use for example, we will use XYZ technology and we will implement this architecture in this project. After that, this project, whenever we complete this project, will be a very successful project. This comes under the part of analysis. What is design? Design means that you're designing the UI of the project. Now, the client will not understand what is going on in the back end, in the back process. When a client only see the front of the software, the UI, you can see that this pen which is open in front of you, I can, as a user, I can use only the which is in front of me. I can click on this shape, I can drag and drop, I can write a text. This is the UI, user interface. I can see only this, but whenever I'm clicking on one of these functions, one of these features, what happens in the backend, in the back part, I don't understand. So that's why this UI designing comes in the modeling section as well, that we need to take care of the design as well, that we need to see that how our software will look like, look of the software. This come under the modeling. Next thing is that next step is what they will go for the construction. Now, what is construction, guys? Construction means it is the stage where you will actually, you have the documents, you have the plan, you have the design in front of you. Now you will do what? You will start writing the code. Now it is the process which takes a lot of time. You will start the coding. Coding means that you will create for 1 month plan coding. You will code X, Y, Z, this function, that function. You will code everything. After that, there's one another step beside that code. You need to test your code. Testing comes, this testing is actually different from our testing, from QA people testing. This testing is only for development team, that they will test their codes. Like, for example, let me tell you, in a company, when the developer is going to test that, we are implementing in the software that logic of A plus B is equal to C. For example, 2 plus 4 is equal to 6. This is the logic. Now they will create a test that whenever a two variables or a two input comes, that first input will be 2 and second input will be 4, equal to the result should be equal to 6. Now this is the first test case. If it comes like this, that -1 plus 4 equal to -2 plus 4 equal to 6. If it again comes equal to 6 and it doesn't count this minus sign, so this will happen. This will what? This will cause a failure. So in here, the developer should take care of their code. So they will do what? They will instead they will add a plus sign to it and they will add it as a 6 so that it gets passed from here. It's a small example. I will not go deeper inside that because we don't need that. These parts are only belongs to a development team that they need to take care of that. Basically, this testing means that they will test the logic of the program, the business logic of the program with their self, not with the testing team. Testing team is other, they would start testing from somewhere else. This test is only for testing and getting satisfaction of their code. Now, after that, the last step is the last stage is the deployment stage. What happens once the software passes through all these steps? The next step is the deployment step, which the development team need to do. What after the test of the QA people also finish, they will deploy it. And deploy it where? Deploy it on the some production server, or they will hand over it to a client so they can make a use of it. These steps will be there. And what will happen there, we will see these steps in Scrum and Agile methodology. That was what will happen there. Now, this was all about what? The process of a waterfall model. Now in here, I mentioned a note that if you see, note, the waterfall model is a traditional approach of SDLC. It means that nowadays, very rarely people are using this model. This model were people using in 1960s. Nowadays, people are not using this model. I hope this waterfall model is clear for you. Is there any question, guys, till this point? Is there any confusing point which confuse you? So you can ask me directly in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask a question. Audible, guys? Is there any question? Aisha says no. No for my voice or no for no questions? Great. I hope that you guys understand this slide. This was all about waterfall model, that what steps and stages come in the life cycle of a waterfall model. Now let's jump back to our slide. This was all about life cycle of the SDLC of waterfall. Now in next slide, we have what, guys? We have V model. Now why V model comes into the picture? We will see that. V model is at that time, whenever, what was the defect of SDLC? Let me go back here. Let's take a new. Now, in waterfall model, there were one defect that whenever there is a bug occurred or there is a change occurred from the client side, the development team couldn't able to revert it back. They can't go back at that time, because once the waterfall model started, so you need to complete it, and after that you can get the new requirement from the client. What happened that they decide at that time, okay, that waterfall model is a little bit older, let's create a new version, that is V model. Now, what is V model? We will see. V model introduce a new concept of what? First step of the V model was a requirement analysis. Alongside with that, we have system testing, if you see. Second was high-level design. High-level design was integration testing, means. Low-level design, parallelly with that, we have unit testing. And as well, we have the coding section at the end of that as well. Now, what happens is that, let me take the screenshot of this. And let's go back in here. And let's paste this. Now let me crop this. Crop. Now everything good. Now what happens in requirement analysis is that this is the same stage that we have in waterfall, requirement gathering and communication. This is that step. What happens in here that first of all, after this requirement analysis, the business analyst plus development team does, they will take a high level design, create a high level design. What is high level design? High level design means that, for example, I am creating the application of a bank. Application of a bank. Inside the bank, we have what? We have the functions of withdraw, like deposit, like checking account, checking balance. Oh, we have, after that, we will creation of account, creation of account, and some other stuff. These are the general and main stuffs of the what? Bank application that we can do it. Now in high level design, all of the main major function will be belongs to what? Belongs to high level design. Along with side with that, people will create what? Development team will create an integration testing. Integration testing means that they will create and ready a documents for testing the withdraw. They will create a documents, pre-planned documents, deposit, and checking balance, everything which is covered in here. They will check this, create this, and they will wait for that these steps are complete. Now next step is, guys, the next step is the low level design. Low level design means that you will consider everything. Star means everything. From a small aspect till advanced concept, we can take it in this low level design. In low level design, you can see that in withdraw, you have to check multiple condition and multiple things, like in withdraw, user must have account. User must have what? Amount inside that. If amount is less than this, what happened? If amount is greater than this, what happened? If amount is equal to this, what happened? These small functions and small things that we want to add, we will take care of everything inside low level design. Now parallelly with that low level design, we will create a unit testing section also. When the moment everything is ready, everything is planned. And this side, look, we have till now, we have planned everything in the left hand side, and we have planned everything in right hand side. Now after the low level design, the process of the starting coding will begin. Now in coding, whatever you have planned in these 3 steps, you will implement it in a practical way. You will code it. Now, once the coding is finished, These documents you have already with yourself. You will do what? You will start directly unit testing, integration testing, and system testing. Now, so what is system testing and why we attach it with the requirement analysis? Because in system testing, you will test hardware plus software. You will test everything. And why people at that time introduced this model? Because in this model, you can reverse back. It's a V shape. From here, it means you add a unit testing. If in case a client in between the project comes and asks you that, hey, I want this particular feature also. So you can add it in this documents because it is connected and attached with this high level design. So you can add at this point as well. You don't have any worry about the testing of the software by the development team. So this was all about the V model that we have understand. Now, till this point, do we have any question related to V model, guys? Is it clear to all of you? Okay, Murtaza, what is your question? Which point confuse you? Tell me. Okay. It's okay. I guess you're confused. Okay, no worries. It's my bad. Now, guys, it was all about what V model that we have understand. Now let's take a new slide. Next, what we have, guys, we have incremental model. And after incremental model, we have agile, but we will not study agile in today's session. Agile is a vast and big methodology. We will see this tomorrow. We will study this incremental model and we will stop right in there. Now, after that V model, there was a defect. People were thinking, the development team thinks that why we don't introduce a new model, which every time we develop an initial release, why we don't release it, why we don't show it to customer so that they get the satisfaction in this. How this incremental model now work? Let's implement this incremental model in developing of the WhatsApp. Let me take the print screen. Let's go to my pen and paste it in here. Now let me crop it. I guess it's not coming there. Let's do it like this. Control Z, and let's come back to here. Let me change this and let's open a Snappy. Let's take a Snappy of this incremental model. Now let me copy this. And now let's come back to Paint and paste it in here. Now it looks good. Now let's consider that we are working with the Mark Zuckerberg. And Mark Zuckerberg is going to develop what? Develop WhatsApp. Where? WhatsApp in project. Now think about that. WhatsApp is not created at that time, and you're living in 2003 or 2005 years. Think like this. Now, Mark Zuckerberg will tell you that, hey, I want to develop this WhatsApp, and we will implement this incremental model methodology and developing of the WhatsApp. Now, how this process will begin and start? First stage, you understand that the first stage is requirement gathering. Okay, they will start writing the BRD documents. They will cover every aspect, which is they will cover every in each steps, which is belongs to what? Which is belongs to the requirement gathering of the what? WhatsApp. Now, how this work start? Let's take a WhatsApp in this side. WhatsApp. Now in first stage, why we have too many in here belts? If you see, we have belt 1 testing and belt 1 in here. And then we have what? Implementation. What are these, the meaning of these things? We will see. Let's say, for example, in first release of the WhatsApp, Mark Zuckerberg will ask us that, hey, I want only functionality of voice call and what? Chatting functionality. These two functionality for the first initial release, I want that I can deliver it to customers, to my users. Now what happened? Whenever they develop everything, they will release the first belt. Whenever at the time they complete this voice call and chatting features functionality, this is called itself a belt. And they name it as a belt 1 because it is the first release and first initial release. Belt 1. Now this belt will happen what? After that, they will test a belt 1. Okay, voice call is working fine and chatting is also working fine. Next, what will happen? They will go with the implementation. Implementation is nothing but that deployment. Okay, that was my first belt from the Mark Zuckerberg for the WhatsApp call of WhatsApp voice call and chatting. Now next, this will take 2 months and Mark Zuckerberg will add let user to use it for a 6 or 1 years, for a 6-month or 1 year period of time. After 1 year, an idea comes into the Mark Zuckerberg mind that, hey, why we don't add a video call functionality into that? Now what happened? In video call functionality, you have already the documents, just you will add the video call option requirement gathering data inside that. Now this step, whenever you are adding a video call into the already existing project which has voice call and chatting, this is called all over. All of them is called and together belt 2. And build 2, you have these functionality. Steps are the same, that after the build 2, you will be testing it, and after the testing, you will implement or deploy it. Now, in build 2 or version 2, we can say, you have build is equivalent of a version. Version 2, we can say that in WhatsApp, we have voice call, we have video call, and we have chatting option. These 3 steps are working. Now, one another thing, after 1 year, after 2 years, some other ideas come into the Mark Zuckerberg mind that, hey, why we don't add a voice message functionality? Why we don't add? Because it's very helpful for people who can't write or who don't have any education knowledge. They can't write, but they can talk. So for them, they created a voice message system. For creation of the voice message system, they will add that voice message requirements in BRD and FRD, and they will do what? They will bring this inside the feature of this, and all of this voice call, video call, and everything, chatting, will come under the belt 3, or we can say version 3. Now, step is same. They will testing. After the test, they will implement it. And now in version 3 of the WhatsApp, we have voice call, we have voice message, we have video call, we have chatting option. These functionality in future we have in build 3 or version 3. That was the process which Mark Zuckerberg able to develop the WhatsApp application and deliver it to customers and users. This was all about the incremental model. Guys, is there any question till this point? Any confusing point in incremental model? Okay. Was it clear a little bit, guys? You understand it, how incremental model work? Okay, excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much for confirmation. Yeah, Imran, tell me, what's your question? Yes, Imran, what's your question? You can unmute yourself and you can ask. No worries. Okay, guys, that was all about what? That was all about the incremental model. We have studied V model, we have studied waterfall model, and we have understand the SDLCs. So we are done for today's session.
Okay, teacher, hope everyone is fine. I have a question. I hope
Yeah, tell
you can
me.
hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Actually, I thought to not have a question, but came up like this. So if we, of course, the application, WhatsApp application is vast. It's not limited only voice call, video call, or voice messages. It has lots of other features like privacy settings, all settings, everything as a whole. So we will have in requirements. We will have like build 3, build 4, build 4, build 5, or it is only until build 3 we will have.
No, you can have till built in. I can say it till built in. How many times you add a new function, that will be a new version of your WhatsApp. You can go till any version. Even it might come till versions 100, version 1000s. It doesn't matter.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks.
Okay, I hope your question is clear.
That's fine.
Okay, guys, that was all about today's session. We have understand all these incremental models, SDLC lifecycle, that how software development will start, what are the models that people are working, and these stuffs. Tomorrow, we will start with the agile methodology. What is agile? Agile is a little bit big and it has a lots of concepts inside that. We will see that one by one. So as of now, I will stop my sharing. Okay. If you guys don't have any question, suggestion, so thank you so much for joining. I will pause the recording.